Think about the last time you were really hurting. Not a bad day, not a minor inconvenience, really hurting. Where did you go inside yourself? Did you call someone? Let anyone in? Or did some quiet, automatic part of you already know you'd be handling this alone? Most people who grew up without consistent comfort don't make a dramatic decision to shut people out. There's no moment where they said, "I'll do this by myself from now on." It happened quietly, one unanswered cry at a time. Attachment researcher John Bowlby believed children first learn emotional regulation through another person before they learned it alone. The body kept score, and it built a system, brilliant, exhausting, deeply lonely, designed to do alone what was always supposed to take two. Here are 10 normal things adults do when they were never comforted as kids. And for every single one, notice this, none of them are flaws. Every one started as a child's most creative act of survival. 1. You can't cry in front of people even when you're completely falling apart. Then, you cried, and the room stayed exactly the same. The tears were met with silence so flat, your body received its clearest lesson. Vulnerability in front of another person produces nothing, so the tears learn to wait. Now you can cry alone, in the car or in the shower at midnight, but the moment someone is in the room, your throat closes, your eyes burn but won't release. Your face stays still while something underneath quietly comes apart. People think you're strong. You're not unshakable. You're just someone whose body decided a long time ago that being witnessed while breaking was more dangerous than breaking alone. 2. You flinch when someone tries to comfort you. Then, comfort came with conditions, or it didn't come at all. And a nervous system that can't trust the pattern doesn't just become cautious, it becomes a detective. Psychologists sometimes call this protective vigilance, always scanning, always waiting for the catch, because in your experience, warmth was rarely just warmth. Now, someone reaches for you when you're sad, and your shoulders rise instead of drop. A friend says, "I'm here," and something in you wants to say, "You don't have to be." Your body isn't pushing love away, it's checking the fine print before it lets love in. 3. You self-soothe with rituals nobody else understands. Then, without a caregiver's rhythm to borrow, you created your own. You organized things that didn't need organizing. You took the same walk at the same time every day, not because you loved the route, but because predictability was the closest thing to safety you had. Now, people call it routine. They call it discipline. It isn't a quirk, it's architecture. Your rituals are load-bearing walls, the structure your nervous system built to hold itself upright when no one else was holding it. Touch the routine and the whole building shakes, not because you're rigid, but because for a long time, the routine was the only thing that didn't leave. 4. You crave weight and pressure when you're overwhelmed. Then, human warmth wasn't available, so the body found the nearest substitute, not just heat, but containment, the blanket pulled tight, the corner of the room pressed against your back, your own arms wrapped around your chest when no one else's were. Your body wasn't looking for warmth, it was looking for edges, the sensation of being held together when everything inside felt like it was coming loose. Now, you sleep under heavy blankets in summer. You press your back against walls in crowded rooms. The need to be held didn't go away. Your body just got creative about what it would accept in its place. 5. Your relationship with food shifts when you're stressed. Then, food was the one consistent comfort in a landscape of inconsistent people. It didn't withdraw, it was reliable, and reliability was something your nervous system was desperately hungry for. Or the opposite, you stopped eating because controlling intake felt like the only manageable thing left. Now, you eat past fullness when you're anxious, not because you're hungry, but because being filled creates a brief sense of okay, or your appetite disappears entirely under stress. Neither is a character flaw. Both are a nervous system reaching for the one tool that never let it down. 6. You go silent when you're upset. Then, you learn that expressing pain out loud changed nothing. The sound didn't bring anyone closer. The words didn't open any arms. So the noise stopped, not because you felt better, but because making it had no return. Now, when something breaks inside you, you go quiet. You process in private, while your face performs fine for everyone watching. The people around you think you're handling it. You're not handling it. You're just very good at making pain invisible, because you learned before you could name it that visible pain didn't move anyone. 7. You talk yourself through hard things alone. Then, no one narrated your fear for you. No one said, "I know this is scary, I've got you." So you became the voice, the calm, steady internal presence that kept you moving when nothing external would. Now, you coach yourself through anxiety like a quiet conversation happening just below the surface. You talk yourself off ledges nobody knows you're standing on. People call it emotional intelligence. It is, but it's also the sound of a child who learned to hold their own hand because no one else's was offered. 8. You keep pain to yourself until it passes. Then, sharing pain didn't make it smaller. You reached out, and the response was silence, dismissal, or a subject change so fast it left your head spinning. So you stopped reaching, the way a child stops asking for something they've learned they won't receive. Now, you go through losses and hard seasons without telling a single person. They find out weeks later and ask why you didn't say anything, and you don't have a quick answer because the truth is too old. Telling people never changed anything, so your body stopped bothering. 9. You became the comforter because it was the only way to grieve what you never had. Then, you watched other people receive comfort and studied it from the outside. You learned what it looked like, not because you'd experienced it, but because understanding it was the closest you could get to having it. Now, you're the one who always shows up, who knows exactly what to say, who holds space while quietly aching for someone to hold it back. You give comfort so fluently because giving it to others is the only way to be near the thing you were never given yourself. It's not just generosity, it's grief wearing the face of service. 10. You feel most settled when you're completely alone. Then, other people were unpredictable. Their presence didn't bring safety. It brought the need to monitor, manage, and stay alert. Solitude was the only place your nervous system could finally exhale. Now, your shoulders drop the moment the last person leaves. Something in your body unclenches in solitude in a way it never quite does around others, even people you love. This isn't introversion. It's a nervous system that only ever learned one path to calm, and that path leads away from people, not towards them. The loneliest part is that you may deeply want to be soothed by someone, but your body keeps choosing alone, not because it doesn't want connection, but because connection and calm were never taught to you in the same lesson. If your chest tightened at any point in this list, hear this.
The system you built was not a failure. It was a feat. A child alone figured out how to survive without the one thing they were biologically designed to need. But survival was never the full plan. You were supposed to be held. You were supposed to borrow calm from someone who had it. You can still learn that. The goal isn't to dismantle what kept you alive. It's to finally give it some company. And if you enjoy exploring psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns behind the way people think and feel, subscribe for more videos like this.